You're gonna record me.
But don't you think that her son and family would enjoy hearing about her from us?
Probably. They could.
You're
Sure.
not starting it yet, are you?
I have it on, but that's okay.
Probably.
You can walk by. We'll let you walk by.
Before you turn that on, I'm just gonna say, I didn't know about this because I never get emails from the church. Sue and I looked into it, she tried to fix it, whatever, and all kinds of things. But I just don't get emails from the church.
Oh, really?
And you're not alone.
Okay.
I have other places that I don't get emails from. So
You need a new email address, maybe.
yeah, we talked about that and never got it done. So she always let me know.
And you know I'm recording all of this because I think they'd get a kick out of it.
So, Emily, you want to sit down and hold the mic?
No, this I think it'll be fine. Sue. You know, we learned about her diagnosis back in August. And she was had such a gift of words to let us know in the newsletter of what was going on. And she had such determination to always keep people informed. And so, anyway, she made it known, I don't know to how many, but she certainly made it known that she didn't really want to do chemo. She didn't want to be sick at the end of her life. And so she chose an alternate method. And it caused her some problems through times, but it was always on the weekend when she didn't feel the best. But she'd come in to work and would be her cheerful self all week. So it was only about a month, no, less than that even, that her last visit to the doctor told her that her cancer had metastasized. It was now in the bone, liver, and other places in her body. Before that, I mean, when she did her monthly visit or so, it wasn't. I mean, it just grew very slowly. But all of a sudden, she had these metastasizing. And really did not voice any, I mean, she knew, but she always felt like she was ready. She was ready to meet her Lord. And so I was shocked. She worked on Wednesday. And on Thursday morning, I had a call from her, and I ignored it because I was talking to somebody else. But immediately she called me back. I sent her a text, I'll call you back. But immediately she called me again. And so she was in excruciating pain. She had she was home because she was going to prepare meals for her son and daughter-in-law who were coming. And she looked forward to this because they were going to make some really big decisions on what to do with some things and so forth. So anyway, she was preparing ahead some meals, was going to. And all of a sudden, this pain in her arm, and about 3 inches down on the humerus, after was a fracture. She didn't know that at the time, but anyway, I came to help her, and it was obvious. There was nothing. I couldn't get her in the car. I couldn't do anything. I called the ambulance, and they come and took her to the hospital, and I went with her. And they took an X-ray, and that's when they discovered the fracture in alignment. But there was also, they could see the cancer in her bone. And that had, it was causing her all the pain. And so, but they couldn't tell how to treat it. They wanted to do a CAT scan, so she went back to the CAT scan, to have a CAT scan. And then they wanted to know how to treat it best, you know, if they needed surgery or if they could do surgery or if they, something else. But ended up that they made a splint for her arm, and then she had a sling, had it in the sling to prevent any movement, any touching even of her hurt, made her hurt. And it took a lot of medicine, IV, to relieve her pain. But she rested, and he asked her what she wanted to do, and she said she wanted to go home. So about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they sent her home, and we struggled, you know, to get her into my car, and she was able to walk if she could stand up. That was very good, you know. So anyway, she got her in the house, got her in her bed, and she could kind of relax. And so I started calling some friends, and Judy Kent had suggested if I talked to her about hospice, and I hadn't. So anyway, Judy come and stayed with her that night, and they did talk about it, and Judy then ordered hospice, and they had everything there by Friday, and I was involved in helping her move out of her bed into her hospital bed. Again, lots of pain, but they are great for relieving that pain and giving comfort to the people. So, and then, you know, from then on, her family was on the way. They were driving on Friday, and they arrived about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And they had, you know, I just think about how much joy she had seeing them and the great conversation they had. And just they could joke and tell fun things about, you know, their family and all kinds of things. So I went home that night, and they were with her Friday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, pretty much by themselves, and got a lot of things, you know, taken care of. And they were planning to leave on Monday, but decided not to, stayed Monday, but we're going home on Tuesday morning. And so I wanted to leave about 5, so I relieved them then on 5 in the morning. And I had seen her once before, and I knew that was very quickly deteriorating. And so they left about 5:15 saying their goodbyes. And before 8, she was gone that day. So it's what she wanted. And I can tell you that I feel peace. I feel peace because I know who Sue is with. And that gives me joy. And that's all I'm going to say right now. I might think of some other things that would be appropriate as people talk.
Who else would like to share?
Well, Sue took over what had been my job for 33 years, and it was just so comforting to know the first person did not work out. But then when Sue took over, and I was so surprised that she wanted to continue working, you know, and even after the cancer diagnosis, to continue working at the same, you know, height that she had always done. And y'all know her design work on bulletins and she brought us up into the upper age of sending out the newsletter about, you know, which we had talked about doing, and I've never had a computer course, so I didn't really know how to do it. But anyway, it was so comforting for me to be able to turn it over to her and be able to say, I'm sorry, I don't work there anymore. It's Sue's. And to think that she did it less than a week before her death. It's just, I mean, if I'd had that kind of diagnosis, I'd have been home whining in the corner about it. But she continued on, and I never remember her not smiling, and I never remember her not looking good. We had Presbyterian women here that Monday, well, it had been about 10 days before she had the arm fractured. And she came over, and the person that had her on this alternate treatment had limited her on sugar. And I remember one time she walked over here and no sugar. Well, I can't eat anything y'all have. Because it was, all flour and the things that she was not supposed to have. But this time, I guess because she'd given up the treatment, she goes, I can have anything. And she did it, and she still looked good. She had some dark shadows I noticed for the very first time, and she was still doing other things. So just to her strength and determination, I think, that it took to just go on keep coming in day after day, and I never heard her whine about it. She, just so joyful, and of course passed that piece on to us.
Sue. The first place I start is when I ask people about, what do you know about First Presbyterian Church? They said, is that where Sue Evenwel works? Mostly to say more about Sue than the church, but Sue was present wherever she was. Fully present, and gave her all. She, to me, was one of those people if you had an answering message on your phone, it should be her. Hello, First Presbyterian Church. This is Sue. How can I help you? It was like there was a party going on at First Presbyterian Church, and y'all needed to get down there because she was going to tell you about it if you'd like for her to. But I know that was some of her training and her customer service and her desire to make everyone in her presence feel important because they were to her. About her creativity and ability, some have said, she helped elevate this church. She what did you say? Upgraded it. We got an upgrade with Sue, First Presbyterian did, with her marketing skills and her creativity. And I would often ask her, Sue, what do you think about such and such? How can this be better? How can we say it better? How can we convey the message better? And she would think a minute, and then nature called. She would take a trip down the hall, come back. I got the plan. I got the idea. So if you don't get the idea that she wasn't a joy to work with, I think you all know that. Dedicated to her serving others. In many ways, to the Republican Party, when the party activities were going on, she was the go-to. Everybody looked to her and well respected in that field. She was a resource to her family. Every day her son called as she was leaving work. So that's how they had a strong relationship. Sometimes if she couldn't get out the door by a little bit after 1, he's still calling. And she'll have to call him back or tell him to give her 5 minutes. But what else to say about Sue? A determined woman, and she died. I think it's beautiful that she died about the time that she would have been in her morning devotion time with God. She was dedicated to that. And she didn't always come and share that with me, but oftentimes we would reflect on what she was learning and studying, and because she was so excited about it. And I shared with you all when I did ask her on her hospice bed, what would you want First Presbyterian Church members to know about you? And it's been a blessing, she said, to serve this group. And she prayed every morning, I want to be a blessing to the church and to everybody she met that day. And I believe she was. And the legacies and the stories that we tell about her certainly shows that. As far as plans for a memorial service, Sue did not want that, but the family decided because there was so much response on Facebook and information, people giving her accolades, that it would be a disservice to not offer something for people to gather and share their memories and celebration of Sue's life. So maybe Memorial Day weekend?
That's what I've heard. That's not set yet. The Saturday before Memorial Day.
The Saturday before possibility, so to let you know, end of next month. Did you want to say more?
I was gonna say, she wanted me to invite a few friends. Just invite a few friends in and have dinner and, talk about her. Anyway, how could I do that? Who would I call? Who I would ask? I mean, across this state and other states, she has very close friends. And so I talked to her family and we decided that it wasn't for her. It was for all of us that wanted closure and to tell what we knew about Sue.
So let's do that. Let's give her good memories around and our relationships with each other. Let's talk about Sue. It's okay. But it certainly did feel this last week, boy, did I feel empty when I walked into the office. And she wasn't here. But as far as the church goes, we're going to continue to move on, and we don't know any firm plans about how to get the work done, except for we've got some important things we're going to deal with and get those things done, and we're going to keep going. So we're going to take the time to celebrate Sue. So, who else has a Sue?
Most weeks I come over here sometime during the week, so I got to see and visit with Sue, usually when I did that, and we had great visits and conversations. It was so easy to be around her, I hate to say this, and forget she had cancer. Forget she was dealing with anything, because her spirit was always joyful. And we know what an upgrade she did, and she was knowledgeable about things. One thing that hasn't been mentioned that we never really got to witness, I don't think, was her musical skills. Because I know, because she loaned me some of her piano books, so I know she was an accomplished pianist. And we were talking one day in the office about something, and I had just learned about the Sunday before something in a conversation with Reed, that Reed made the All-State Choir in Texas for all 4 years of high school. I don't even know anybody else that made the All-State Choir, that's just 4 years. And she said, well, I made the All-State Choir in Pennsylvania. And I thought, you are quite the singer. Now, I don't know anything much about Pennsylvania, but you are quite the singer. But the funny thing I will always remember her doing, every time I would call, no matter if I called her phone or the church phone, I got this, hey, Sherry. That was the greeting every time. But this one day we were talking about something that we might be planning to have here in the service, and I was wondering where it would come. And I used a phrase that is very common to me, and you all know my background. And I thought nothing of it. And I said something about it being a special music. And she bent over laughing. She said, that is so Baptist. I said, I guess it is. It's just so common to me. But anyway, she was such a joy. And my greatest regret is I didn't come over last week. The last week she was here. We just had a lot going on. And it's sad when you think you didn't get to say goodbye to somebody. But she meant a lot to me. So.
But Emily has to be so, we need to thank her.
because we wouldn't have had Sue without you. That committee was 2 people had failed and taken Kathy's spot. It was just a prayerful time, and the Lord worked through you and worked through Sue and gave us a beautiful blessing. That's all.
I pop in sometimes to see her or Sue, whatever, and, end up staying 30 minutes. But I did learn from Sue that she was actually a computer programmer. That's what she loved to do. That's what she grew up, that's what she went to school for. And she said the only problem, she loved it, she could do it. She said the only problem was when she got out to find a job, it was a man's world. She had a hard time doing it, but she stuck with it, she loved it. So, that was her background, that was her joy. So, my background is not computers, okay? And I'm in Pilot Club, as most of you know, and I had to do a memorial service for those pilots who had passed through the year. And so I had just a little candle, but I wanted to have a little something about pilot. So it has a little indentation. Can you see it? I thought, I need somebody to help me shrink this pilot logo to fit this size. I tried the best I could, still too big. Who can I help? Wednesday morning, Sue. Yes, I'm going to go ask Sue. So I came up here and, I asked her I told her what I needed. Could she help me? And she goes, well, I don't know. And I'm thinking, what? That sounds pretty simple to me, although I don't know anything. But I said, if it's not a good time, if you're too busy, because it's Wednesday, she's got to do bulletins and stuff. And I didn't know she was taking off the rest of the week to be with her family. And she goes, no, let's see what we can do. So as we sat there and I watched, and she got it down, and she got it small, and she goes, is that small enough? Okay, so my template was just a piece of paper with a hole this size. I put it over there, and I said, yeah, that'll work. She goes, no, you won't get all the spokes. It has a boat wheel, ship's wheel. And so she would shrink it more. Is that the right size? We put it, no. So she just kept working on it until she got it the right size, and you could see all the 8 spokes on it. And so anyway, that was my last conversation with Sue. And I just told her thank you, how much I appreciated her help with this and her work and the thing. And so I got these all set up for the clubs that had a member passing, and there was one club that did not show up that had, so I had a leftover candle. So I took it because Sue made this. So now I have a little story that goes with how Sue is always willing to help.
Even in her last days.
Sorry. I just remember Sue and her prayers. When she prayed for you or with you, it was like Jesus was sitting right there beside her in the room with you. You couldn't feel any closer. She was just a prayer warrior. And I had the privilege, thanks to Leanne, to have Sue pray with me, for me. And she was such a blessing. She cared for this church. She worried about our finances. She would talk to me about, should we pay this? Do we have the money? Do we have the funds to cover these checks? She will truly be missed. And I'm just thankful that she was here with us as long as she was.
that God brought her here. And I got to know her and have her as a friend. And I won't miss her.
Amen.
You know, we were business partners for 21 years. And she was the visionary. She was the designer in our embroidery and vinyl business. I mean, we know how she could come up with ideas and so forth. And I was the one that fixed the machine or maybe some little detail, and the actual one that did, you know. So anyway, so it worked out great. And we used to go to these chamber meetings and different business people would meet and so forth. And, oh, you know, sometimes, I never heard of you. Where's your residence? Or where's your business place? And she'd come up with, well, we have 2 locations. And she'd say, her house and my house. But she was, you know, she had this very good sense of humor too. And, you know, so anyway, there's so many stories that she was just fun to work with. And asked my husband, he spent many a night, you know, I'd either be at her house doing something mostly, and sometimes she was at mine, and we were working to get a job done, and he'd be waiting for supper. Whatever. Anyway, that's all I want to say. She loved us all.
Two things came to mind as Emily was talking. Sue compared me to Emily a couple of times. I won't tell them both ways, but anyway, one way. I'm not the creative kind like Sue, but I was the mechanic. I'm the mechanic around here, like Emily was on their machines and their business. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Well, does anybody besides me feel a call to pray? If not, I will, but I'm happy to. I want to say to you that I did have several visits with Sue before she died. I learned early on, and I think it was with an interaction with Judy, that Sue was such a prayer warrior and had the very same experience. When Sue was praying, she was talking right to Jesus, and I like Judy's image. Jesus was right there by her side and probably whispering in her ear what to say if she didn't have something to say. But she did have things to say, and we're so grateful for the things that she said and the way that she blessed us. But at the bedside, when Rosemary and I went to visit with her, I asked her if she would like to pray, and she did. And it was a blessed time because, again, the witness of her relationship with God was so strong. So let us carry that, her love for God, and being inspired by that, and the interactions that we've had with her, and keep going, because she is a lady. She wouldn't want to see her in her sick bed. She wants to see you all fixed up like she is in that picture. And that's the way I will remember her. And she wouldn't want any sad, long goodbyes. And I think God knew that as well. So God took her in God's perfect timing. So let's take a moment and remember Sue. Almighty and gracious God, we're so thankful for the person called Sue Evenwel, that we crossed paths with her. You created her from the very beginnings, and it showed. We thank you for her witness, for her love, for her care, her blessings, the gift of the ways that she was so talented and upgraded this church. Be with her family and our church family as we grieve our loss of making new memories with Sue. But we rejoice because we can imagine her joy and how happy she is. No more pain, no more sorrow. Her work on earth is done, and she is rejoicing in eternal glory now and forever. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amen.